Okay. I'd like to call to order the Oakland Transportation Authority Board meeting. Today is Thursday, June 16, 2016. We're at the Oxford Village Hall. Please pay respects to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please note the roll.
Chris Barnett, absent. Mark Thurber.
Here.
Buck Kreideman.
Here.
Lori Fisher.
Here.
Roberta Habowski.
Here.
Kathy Ellis.
Here.
Mike McDonald. Here. Bruce Pearson. Bill Dunn.
Here.
Brenda Wilson.
Here.
Eric Wilson. Ken Danforth. And Joe Dunn. Here.
Under approval of the agenda, I'd like to suggest that we postpone 10A and 10D.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second that with discussion.
Been moved and seconded? Yes.
What was the reason behind it? We want to do that now? That's specifically.
I'm not sure. I was asked.
I think there was some interest on the board just with a little uncertainty about item D and how that all ties together. So there's no,
Okay, I just wondered why.
no time frame that we need to act.
So we're going to get information through email or something? So we
I think Glenn sent something out.
You did.
Yes.
To be continued.
Okay, that's great.
So we're deleting item 10A and 10B?
Yes. No, 10A and D.
Oh, D. Oh. I guess I read the right agenda.
I don't have it either.
Don't you? Oh, you.
What is it?
RTA resolution. And from now on, the location is not the Oxford Village Township.
I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to correct that one.
So on the agenda, motion was made by Lori, seconded by...
That's right.
I'm sorry. So we just have item B and C.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Item the minutes. Any questions on the minutes? If there's none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any other discussion?
And then I think there was one, at least I hope, under new business, on page 2 of the packet, that's, I assume, third line up from the end of the first paragraph, that's supposed to be 50%, correct?
Oh, yes.
So, I assumed, but if it wasn't, I didn't know what they were talking about.
All right.
With that correction, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Director's report.
Good afternoon. We've been busy with our rides. We're a little bit higher than last year, but our drivers are now in construction season and have had to be patient with all of our construction projects around town. NODA now has 10 vehicles that are either 2015 or 2016 with a fleet average of 53,000, and that doesn't count our new vehicles that are MV1 and another 2004 Transit, which aren't on the road yet due to the graphics that still need to be done. This is a huge improvement from a year ago, and we're looking forward to lower repair costs. CJ did a nice article in this week's Lake Orion Review on the new MV1, and he also wrote an opposition column on the upcoming RTA millage this November, which is asking for 1.2 mils for 20 years. I'm still trying to get a handle on the possible effect to NODA if this were to pass. The articles of incorporation for Act 196 authority need to be reviewed after the changes were made, and the board is set to vote on the authority at the meeting this week. This is going to be postponed. The attorney has adjusted all of the wording, and I just sent today an updated article so that you can review it for next meeting. The Orion Township Corridor Improvement Authority tax capture is also on the agenda. You have a copy of the proposed project for your review. If the board chooses to opt out of the capture, you need to do so at this meeting because it needs to be done within a 60-day limit. We're prepping our vehicles for sale on the Mitten auction site. We have to take off the graphics on each of them. Our current audit is underway and is going well. And we had 2 senior drivers retire in May, Harvey Rowley and Jerry Shefke. And we had a retirement party for them. They'll be greatly missed. We're getting closer to getting our tablets and our GPS software. We've been working with PC Trans, Verizon, and a computer company to help us prepare for the transition. We're also expecting to receive some new computers and a server from another grant, and the procurement for them is going through SMART, and that is in process as well. We've had a harder time getting members to attend the meeting, so please assign an alternate if you can't attend so that we can have a quorum. Thank you. Our next meeting is July 21st at the Lake Orion Village offices.
Is there any questions? Moving on to the financial activity, 8A, approval of the bills. Questions on the bills? Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the June 1st through 16th, 2016 bills for $79,240.32.
Second.
Moved and supported by Barnett and Marty. Roll call?
Barnett,
Here, yes.
Thurber,
Yes.
Kreiderman,
Yes.
Wills, Fisher,
Yes.
Lebowski.
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Yes, sorry about that.
Reaching for stuff. I can't do 2 things at once. Turn mine down.
The Irish music.
Would you? Yes, it's Scottish music, thank you. Let's move on to financial activity, informational. Any questions on that? Would there be a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No old business. New business restructuring, oops, that's postponed. On to 10B, Orion Township Corridor Improvement Authority Tax Increment Capture. Do we have presenters here? Or please step up here and give your names, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Gary Roberts from Strategic Communications. We are economic development consultants to Orion Township and have been the sort of primary authors of this proposal. Mike Hilfinger is with me tonight. We've kind of got this divided into 2 segments, but we thought, can everybody see that okay, or see around me or something? I can do it. What we do is, in case you weren't familiar, take a few minutes, just do kind of a high-level flight of what exactly we're talking about here, so that you have some background as to what it is. What it is, why it is, where it is, how much it is, how is it funded, and so forth, and what the goal. The Corridor Improvement Authority, or the CIA, which has nothing to do with the real CIA, but the CIA is an option open to all Michigan municipalities empowered by State Public Act 280 to take an area of a community, typically along roadways or the corridor part of the Corridor Improvement Authority, to improve infrastructure or enhance an area functionally or aesthetically, or to correct the blighted area. Those are the primary goals of the act, the enabling act that allows that. Organizationally, the authority is a 7-member board appointed by the supervisor to prepare plans and make recommendations to the Orion Township Board, which is ultimately the authority over the township's corridor improvement authority. Mr. Cantucci's here is a corridor authority member, and he's here to make sure we don't screw this up. The first slide, the question is, where is it? You're familiar with Brown Road. Here's I-75. North is up on this map. Here's Joslin Road. Here is Baldwin Road. The corridor improvement authority limits are the outline that you see on this plan, which is essentially the frontage parcels along Brown Road, which many of you know, or maybe you don't know, because you see a bunch of small buildings, but the lots are very deep, like 1,300 feet deep. And a lot of bowling alley type lots in that area. This bottom portion of the map in Orion Township lingo is the BIZ, or the Business Innovation Zone, which is a very aggressive zoning that allows a variety of types of uses in an effort to try to redevelop that area. Then the Corridor Improvement Authority limits turn north up Baldwin to, as you know, or maybe you don't know, but Baldwin is scheduled for some significant renovation by the County Road Commission, and to the second roundabout at Gregory Road here is the idea is to capture that area as well, so that we can make some improvements along that line. The map area was selected by the CIA board primarily because of its potential for new investment and for repurposing land. The total area of that colored piece represents about 470 acres, and if there's, let's call it in round numbers, 1 million acres in the township, it's a fraction of 1% of the total area within Orion Township. And I should note here too, while we're just looking at the map, this is not any kind of a zoning change or any kind of a use change proposal. This is strictly a zone designated for reinvestment in the community. It's also not a tax increase for anyone. This doesn't charge, if you pay $1 in tax now, you pay $1 in tax next year, assuming this goes forward. Just staying at the high level, Mike, if you go on. The existing conditions, along Brown Road, and a significant portion of the district is either vacant or underutilized, I'll call it, industrial uses. Again, the Corridor Improvement Authority Board felt that this area really represents the best opportunity for incremental increase in value, particularly when you think about the mining operations, the truck storage operations, and some of the uses that happen currently along Brown Road. And you get kind of a flavor for that in this photography here. This is standing up near the concrete crusher looking out over the land, and the dirt in the foreground is the gravel mine that's been there for many, many years. And the thought process is, gee, it's time to make that better. So we're looking to this Corridor Improvement Authority as a tool, if you will, to attract higher and better uses in some case. As to the mission, and I don't need to go through all these words, but the primary mission of the Corridor Improvement Authority Board really can boil these words down to two priorities. Number one is Brown Road. Brown Road, if you've traveled there anytime during peak shopping hours, you know that it's well over capacity in terms of vehicular traffic. The traffic along there is difficult, which principally driven by the retail on the south side, on the Auburn Hill side. But now it's time for the north side and for Orion to make their statement. And it's a very difficult thing when you already have a traffic situation which is untenable. So the number one priority is to convert Brown Road from Joslyn to Baldwin from 3 to 5 lanes. The good news in that, and I'm going to come back to this in a little bit more detail, and I'm not going to take real long here, by the way. But to convert that from 3 to 5 lanes, adding 2 new lanes on the north side of what's there now, and then the proposal in the budget that I'm going to show you then takes the southerly 3 lanes that exist now, mills them down, puts new pavement over it. So at the end of the day, this budget, when you stand in the road, will look like an entirely new thoroughfare. So that's the real goal for that, and that just opens the door for us to attract potential new investment, potential new retailers, and the kinds of people that are looking and doing site selection will look for when they're shopping around for sites. The second priority, which is really a terrific opportunity, As Baldwin Road is of course a gateway to the community, we want to capitalize on the great work that the Oakland County Road Commission is going to do for the community. Now, what they're going to do, of course, is rebuild the road entirely. But when they're done, what you end up with is just, you end up with a nice great road, but that's it. There is no planting plan, there is no streetscape, there is nothing other than perhaps some grass seed and some erosion control measures that go with that. We want to take that and take this opportunity to really plus that from an image and from a corporate image, from a community image standpoint, and how we can take that and just take it up one level. And this is a great opportunity to do that. Remember, I told you one of the goals of the Enabling Act is to allow an area to functionally and aesthetically improve, and this is what we want to do there. So if you picture the new roundabouts and you picture the new roadway that's over there, what we can do is we can provide landscaping, we can provide automatic irrigation, we can provide new lighting, we can provide pedestrian scale, streetscape furnishings like benches and perhaps some small pocket parks for when the road commission takes some of the shallow parcels, there's some small bits of land left over. We're going to try to lobby them hard to get that donated to the community so that we can create some more pedestrian scale type of improvements. This, at the end of the day, the idea is to improve the vehicular and the pedestrian experience as you leave 75 and travel north into the community. And it's a unique opportunity to do that, but for this type of mechanism, there's really not any other way to do it. In terms of visually, those enhancements, what might they look like? And again, this is not intended to be prescriptive because we're going to go through a process to design these things, but we had to start somewhere with a budget. There, for example, is a roundabout that would be enhanced with some paving, perhaps a low wall, some vertical landscaping in the middle. Now again, when the road commission is done, you just get the roundabout. We want to take it to the next level. There's an actual view of that. From a pedestrian standpoint, we can have bollards, we can have crosswalks, we can have median landscaping and things that might otherwise not be available in the base project. So that's really the scope or the idea, just from an image standpoint, of the direction that we're headed. The way that will actually evolve, though, is a collaborative process which will involve the Planning Commission, will involve the Director of Planning, the Corridor Improvement Authority Board, and the public input to actually go through and analytically program, how we're going to how and what we're going to include. But that's the general idea. So, how much is all this stuff? Well, this has also been a collaborative process just to get to this far. The top box there is the Brown Road estimate for the improvements. OHM advisors, the engineering advisors to the community, have gone through and done some preliminary drawings, and done an engineer's estimate, and in round numbers, $5 million will be the ticket on that thing. That is, engineered with the 2 new lanes and everything that we need to cover that zone, including traffic control devices and some other things that will enhance the flow of traffic along Brown Road. The streetscape.
Who's going to pay for that? Is that tri-party funds, or is that just what Orient's going to pay?
No, this is all what gets funded through this Corridor Improvement Authority through a tax capture. I'll come back to the detail in that second. The streetscape, as presently proposed, round numbers, $2.2 million. Remember, that's quite a long distance. And we, in order to develop that budget, again, conferring with some landscape designers and other people, and then benchmarking against similar projects in other areas, you could make that number into probably $1.5 million, or you could make that number into $8 million. There's a wide variety of ways you can spend money along a roadway, of course, as you well know. But we benchmarked some similar project and feel that we can reach the right balance from a design and from an aesthetic standpoint with about $2.2 million. That's where that came from. The third priority, if you will, is what I'm going to call some things that we really hope we get to the third priority. But there are other opportunities, say along Joslin Road at the entrance to the community there. You come up to the corner of Joslin and Brown, the business on the right has barbed wire fence around it. You know, can we create a better community image from that southern gateway than that? Certainly we could. There's up the road a little bit, there's a Consumers Power pumping station that has no landscaping in front of it. Could we change that? Could we take the opportunity to make that better? Could we offer some other incentives along to existing businesses along Brown Road to say, hey, you know, perhaps we could get involved with some design with you to do some facade improvement, those kinds of things. Again, the third priority in the plan, though, are these miscellaneous items. Altogether, about $8 million is what is modeled in the financial model that I'm going to show you. I mentioned to you the right-of-way. Mike, could you go on for a second? This is just a typical cross-section of the roadway here. The 3 lanes that are light color are to the south side. The 2 new lanes, the new pavement is there. The good news, and as you know with road improvement projects, one of the highest costs is right-of-way acquisition, when you have to go along to all those owners and try to negotiate a deal to buy their frontage. The good news is back when the road was expanded for the first time, late 90s, the right-of-way was acquired for the entire length from Joslin to Baldwin, with one exception, and these 4 dots represents 3 dwelling units and a garage, actually, 3 parcels, that will need to be acquired as a part of this plan. So there's a number of about $800,000 in that budget that I just showed you that contemplates that those facilities will be acquired. Not because they're in the roadway, but because the green area there represents the grading that needs to be done to get to it. So all in all, we're very fortunate from a land acquisition standpoint that the property is well set up. So anyway, to this gentleman's question, how does all this work? The CIA, the Corridor Improvement Authority, is an economic development tool allowing you to collect through what's known as a tax increment finance model, money to reinvest in the community. Well, how does this work? Well, if I have a parcel, let's just say I have a parcel right here, parcel number 3, and I pay, and I use simple mathematics for my mind, I pay $1 a year in taxes on that property. And next year, if nothing happens, I'll pay about $1 to pick up inflation. But that's really the only increase that I could anticipate. But on my parcel 3, let's say that these improvements attract new investment, as they're designed to do. And my $1 tax goes to $5. That is, in my simple math, a $4 increment, the $1 you always had, but now I have new investment which generates a tax bill of $5. Under this model and under this proposal, we're going to take half of that, or half of what the law allows, 50%, $2, and we're going to roll it into this district as a reinvestment in the community, and the other $2 will go where it always went. So, hence the term tax increment finance. The increment is the difference between what I was getting to what I'm getting post-improvement. And then what you do is you model those things, and in our case, we project out over 20 years, what would you collect over a 20-year period, and that allows the community to explore various financing options to pay that money back over time. We took a very conservative approach to this model, just so you know. On those properties where we have a good idea that something's going to happen, we actually could go to those developers and get the numbers. For example, parcel 4 here on Brown, there's a gentleman building a mixed-use complex with retail in the front. It's a residential in the back. It's very nice, but he's just getting started. But we know that his value, because we inquired about it, is $20 million. So in that case, we take this year as our base year with just vacant land, and next year, when he comes in, there's a $19 million increment in there. If the land was worth $1 million and now it's worth 20, that would be the increment that he would contribute. Similarly, the worst kept secret in town is Menards is looking at, seriously, in fact, has site plan approval, is more than looking at, but is on a path to develop parcel 7 at this location. We know what the values are from there because we got them from them. So we plug in the model, something that we know for sure is happening, we plug it in. If we don't know for sure what's happening, then what we do is, let's just take parcel 8. Right now, that's a variety of industrial uses and storage lots and so forth. So what we do over time is we use some standard planning factors, and we use ground coverage of, let's say it's 20% of the ground is typically covered by retail or commercial construction, apply some square footage factors, and voila, you have a plan to increment over time. But we didn't put those in the first years. We took those unknowns and we spread them out so that they come into the plan over a longer period of time. Again, hopefully not 20 years, but we took the conservative approach. To be even more conservative, the areas of the plan where we model the financial, the revenue side of this thing, or the sources side, the X zones, the shopping center here, some things up in Gingerville that are mature, an area of the community that might, have some opportunity for more tax increment, but we said, look, let's just leave those alone. They're going to come in the plan. Clearly, the parcels will benefit from the plan, but we'll say that what's there now is what's going to be there. So in our model, we only model an inflationary increase. So those are the 3 kind of pieces that make up the model that we and the assumption that we make. We vetted all those numbers with Township's other consultant, Plant Moran, and went through that with their real estate people, and then we end up with the model. And Mike's going to step up here right now and just take you through real quickly on the high level what the gross numbers are and what that means specifically to the NOTA board going forward. So Mike, I'm going to switch over to you, and I'll become the operator.
Yeah. Thanks. So this is just a quick chart that shows you currently the taxable value of the property of the approximately, what did we say it was, 470 acres?
Yes.
Is about $30.8 million. So we're saying it's going to be a 20-year capture, and then we're assuming, these are all assumptions in the yellow. We're assuming that it's 2.5%. Inflationary increase. So that's just an introductory, and the projected capture over the 20 years we have at about $14 million. And I'll tell you why that number is. We'll go to the next. Okay, now this is an eye chart, I'm sorry, but this kind of shows you what the current millage rate is for Orion Township. So NOTA on here, you're at 0.2490. And then the capture would be half of that, which would be 0.1245. And I'll show you, I have a summary outline of exactly what NOTA and how it would affect your group. So this is the back of the plan, and you can look at it at your leisure if you'd like, but this is kind of how we did it. And we went through and we assumed, as Gary said, with the real estate and how we planned the future, it came in at different times. I mean, these are all assumptions, but we worked with Plant Moran Cressa to figure out what would be the best estimate of when these developments would come into place along both Brown and Baldwin. And so with those numbers, we came up with the taxable values and how they increased. This is through year 10, and the next slide will show through year 20. And then you'll see that, so the total amount we have is $14 million to capture an estimate. And that would be, again, it's kind of an eye chart, but if you go to the next one, that'll show you this, give you a summary. So basically the summary, right now, the taxable revenue for this district is approximately $7,000, $8,000 to NOTA. Over the 20 years, if it was stagnant and there was no development on the property, and it was at a 2.5% inflationary rate, you'd be looking at a total of $222,271. Now, with the Corridor Improvement Authority in place, and if the estimates, these conservative estimate developments that we worked with Plant Moran on come about, over the 20 years of the CIA, you'll see $239,000, $240,000. So that would be 50% of the increase would still go to NODA. And then the other thing, so that we would capture, the CIA would capture $240,000 also, so it would be split. But that's still an increase over a 20-year stagnant period. So post 2035, when this ends, when the Corridor Improvement Authority expires, you're looking at an annual tax revenue for NODA at close to $50,000 compared to what you were at in 2016. Now, also, if we collect enough taxes, or capture taxes enough to finish the projects before year 20, this will expire. So, for some reason in year 15, we pay off the bonds, or we're not sure how we're going to pay up front for these improvements, but if, let's say it's a bonding mechanism, then if we were to pay that off in year 15, then it would end earlier. Okay, so we're looking at different types of financing at this point, but this is what basically we're looking at as far as the Corridor Improvement Authority and what we have in place right now. But Plan Moran recommended that and also Oakland County recommended that we do a 20-year plan, just so that if we did use a bonding mechanism, that we would capture enough for any kind of interest on top of the $8 million plus that we need to do the improvements.
Just a comment.
Yes.
So in other words, with the proposed plan, NODA shareholders to gain $17,000 more. And the 222 they would have normally gotten.
Right.
With your plan, we're going to get 229. So we're gaining $17,000.
That's right.
And at the end of the project, we'd be gaining, after it's paid off.
Right.
49,000, where before it might be, something less.
It would be less than that. I should have probably put a number of 7,000 at, I can do it quickly, at 2.5% inflation over 20 years.
So this is a gain that you've been,
yes.
Remember.
Yes.
Back to the one page you showed the debt service, that first schedule, you showed 8 million. Could you show what the
Sure.
debt service over that 20-year period was?
I think I put it in there.
Yeah, it's in
The previous two more, I think. One more back.
On the bottom.
Yeah, so the debt service on a 20-year, you're looking at about 11.6 million. So we have a little bit of a cushion there. So if we pay it off before then before the 20 years.
Capturing for 13.9 is going to.
Right. So if we pay it off earlier, then it expires.
I hope your interest
Project's
rate would be less than 4%.
Well, right, and this was all done, we did a very conservative estimate, and, as far as what we could capture and what kind of financing we could get to come up with that number. You're correct, yes. That's how it would work.
So I want to add a couple comments and might answer a couple questions. First of all, this is not a DDA. It's similar, but it's not. And the difference is we have stated projects. Once those are complete, it ends. This isn't something that we renew. Obviously you could create a new one, but we would have to start over. And we would have to come back to the taxing authorities with a new plan. So we have our 3 stated goals, which Gary outlined. We have no staff. We have no full-time staff. We have no benefits. We have some consultants, but we want to just take the money and put it in. Menards they did get site plan approval. One of the reasons that the property is not developed and Auburn Hills is completely developed on the other side of the road is because there are definite challenges with the property on the north side of the road. There have been a couple mining operations. There's some of it's, I would say, it's blight. But Menards, Tom O'Neill, who's their land acquisition guy out of Wisconsin, said with no uncertainty, without the road being widened, they don't invest in the community. And if you all know, the township, we get $0. We get 0 road dollars. We don't own 0 miles of road. So as far as the plan for the road commission to widen the road, for the road commission to come along and widen the road, it wouldn't happen probably, at least maybe in my lifetime. So this is a great tool. We already have people interested because we're looking to do this. And the only other piece that wasn't covered is we worked really hand in hand with the county. If you look at that, you can't see it real clear on here, but the majority of the money comes from the township villages, police, fire, general fund, which we're obviously in because we created the plan and our board approved it. But the second biggest pot of money is the county and Oakland Community College, which the county helped us draft the plan. They've been holding our hand through this. There are 16 or 17 other CIAs in the county either approved or in process. And we're working with the county. We actually have a meeting tomorrow. We're negotiating the contract with them, but they helped us come up with, we actually had it set up for 15 years. They encouraged us to change it to 20 because it would help us if we did bond. So we've got basically the approval. We don't have it signed, sealed, and delivered, but from Brooks Patterson to the chair of the board and both caucuses of the County Board of Commissioners have essentially blessed us along with the county treasurer.
Are the schools involved in this?
No. Schools are not. The higher, Oakland Community College is, but not K-12. So those were a few clarifying points of the.
What would be the benefit to NODA? You're saying over the years we're going to get?
Well, the benefit, well, we're hoping that, we're making a presentation in the library tonight. The only two real entities that really could say yes or no are NODA and the library. The Oakland Community College follows the lead of Oakland County. Oakland County has said they're going to approve it, and we're working on a contract with them. The rest of the millages are ours, and we already approved it, our township board did. So the benefit to NODA, there's not a lot of risk, I would say. I mean, any investment that happens is better than zero, and you would be capturing 50% of that. So if Menards comes in and invests $12 million, the tax base is going to go up $12 million. So NODA's revenue would instantly increase by 50% of that. 50% of it would stay in the bucket for the corridor improvement authority to pay for the road, but NODA's revenue would go up. If Menards doesn't invest, then that's what that other scenario would be, where the property basically stays stagnant. So we are making an argument to the NODA board and the library board that this would increase the revenue immediately, and then when the plan expires and the capture ends, it's an exponential jump. It would go up from, with just the, 10 or 12 grand up to $50,000. So.
And one other thing, I mean, this is an economic development tool, so but for the improvement of Brown Road, you're not going to get the investment you're not going to have people coming in on Brown Road and wanting to invest in there, and other than Menards, other people, which increases the taxes, and as Chris said, you still would get 50% of that. Otherwise, without improving Brown Road, you probably wouldn't get any kind of increase.
When you bond the project, you're going to have a schedule of reimbursement for the bond, which will be fixed. And what guarantee is there that you just, the corridor improvement board elects to just make the basic payments for 20 years, which they can do, and they don't have to pay it off early. Right?
That's a possibility, but
it's a reality. I mean, it depends on how things go. I mean, it's great to say that it will produce, but functionally, we have to look at it as a 20-year issue, correct?
Sure, it's a 20-year plan.
Okay.
It's 20-year.
And just so we haven't made a decision, we actually have a meeting in a couple weeks. We actually have 3 funding options. Traditional bonding is, in my opinion, the least, that's the third choice. There's a potential to borrow internally from another township fund. That's a good option because we could pay ourselves the interest. And the other option would be, there's new legislation that just passed this year in Lansing that allows local municipalities to borrow from their county for road improvement projects. And that legislation just passed 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So we're already talking with the county about that potential too. So there are other options besides the traditional bond.
And I'm not against any form of financing. I'm just pointing out that you can hope that it will generate enough money and the property tax increases will be diverted to help pay it off sooner, but there's no guarantee. It's a decision of the corridor improvement.
And that's true, but the risk for that scenario is on Orion Township. We are the ones that would service the debt,
Right.
the township. At no point in this scenario would we be going to the library or NODA or the county looking for support
Right.
or, it would just, the risk is on the township, and our board made a decision that was a risk we were willing to take, and we're going to serve.
And I wasn't inferring that that wasn't the case.
No, I just want, I agree.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
A couple, one's just a statement. We have 2 years left on this millage, and so this is with the assumption that we would continue to get our millage reinstated for the next 20 years. And the second statement is we're only talking about $17,000 over 20 years. And my third is actually a question of what happens when, if we decide to opt out of this, what will that look like? And what is the ramification on this plan?
It would reduce our total capture amount from 14 million to, go back.
Go forward, yeah.
We gotta go back, previous.
It would reduce the total capture by
Right.
230.
200, yeah, about $240,000. Yeah, 240.
So essentially just reduces the amount of, Brown Road's the first priority, the second priority is the Baldwin streetscape, and it would just cut it.
And as far as the millage is concerned, there's no other way to do a model except to assume that the millages will be the same. We can't tell what would happen.
So then what is there, and I guess this is to the NODA board also, is there a downside for NODA opting out of this?
To opt out, I mean,
Or opt in?
but we only have to opt out if we want to.
If we take no action, we're in.
So, perception, if we were choose to opt out, I think it may not be perceived as
Okay.
And the loss of
thing to
how
do.
much that was.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I understood everything, so thank you.
Is it possible to cap the amount at 239 or whatever? But is it, if the values go up higher than what your estimates are, you collect more than that? Is it,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and then is it
You
possible
would
for the
get-
NODA board to just say that you only get the 239? Or would you,
That's not how the act works on the TIF for the Quarter Improvement Authority Act. It doesn't work that way. It just works
Well,
on
the
a
county
percentage.
does it though.
They do a percentage, a 50% cap. Unless it's kind of confusing. They can go up to 75% capture, allowing that, but it depends on the percentage of the township how many tax in the district compared to the entire township. But we're only asking for 50%. For instance, the Farmington Hills in Farmington have a 75% capture.
Just to kind of just give another little angle, and I am biased, okay? So one of the things I want to mention to the board is I did talk to our township attorney to ask if I could vote on this, if it's a conflict. I don't personally benefit, he didn't think it was, but I would leave it up to the board if you would want me to sit out on this. I'd be happy to if the board takes action, because I don't want there to be, I've been working on this for almost 18 months personally. It's a great tool. The county is completely behind it because it drives economic development. And in that scenario that you were just mentioning, we're talking about $239,000 of additional revenue on top of what NODA currently receives and would receive with inflation based on investment. So yes, $239,000 would go into the bucket of the Corridor Improvement Authority to go towards road improvement. But for the Corridor Improvement Authority, we don't have $239,000, the CIA board to spend on the road, nor NODA to spend on whatever they want. And in the same scenario, if we do think these numbers are conservative, but no one knows when the economy is going to take a big dip. The first corridor improvement authority plan approved in the county was Sashbaugh Road in Independence Township. They did it right when the economy was taking a dive. They still, if you take 75 and get off at Sashbaugh, you'll still see the street lamps and the boulevard with the nice cut grass and irrigation. They still were able to complete their projects, they just scaled back. They didn't do as much as they originally planned. But if the numbers are conservative and we do better and the capture is $280,000, again, on the other side of the coin, that's $280,000 more revenue for NODA because of the increased development and investment than we would have if nothing happens. And I will just say, I mean, Gary, both these guys, their careers in commercial real estate and development. We've talked, in 4 years since I've been supervisor, I've talked to hundreds of people interested in the corridor. But there are so many barriers of entry, and that's why it sits the way it sits today, because we need to give it a shot in the arm and give some assistance, and that's what this tool does. So I don't know if that answered your question or cleared it up a little bit, but.
Well, I think that NODA should be a good partner with our member communities, and we stand to gain, not lose, because we're assuming that it is as projected, which it is projections. So unless there's a motion, I move that we move on to the next item of business.
You're not the motion you're there.
No, if there's no motion, then we're in, right? If we don't take action to opt out. Correct. Then we move on.
And we still have 60 days to opt out.
From when it was approved
by the board.
by our township board, which was, this is the last NODA meeting that we have. So you could still opt out, but it would have to be a special meeting of NODA. This is the last regular meeting.
I'm kind of alarmed. I'm just hearing about this tonight.
Well, we've been emailing about it, and we talked about it at the last meeting.
I wasn't at the last meeting.
I know, that's why we sent out an email about it.
I must not have done it.
I got it.
Yeah, I'm looking. They all came from Linda, all of us.
Well, is there a question? Because if we take no action, we just move on.
It's whatever the board does. If there's enough votes there, it's doesn't matter.
Well, it's not a matter of voting. Is somebody going to make a motion to opt out? And if failing that, then we move on to the next item of business.
Could pass a motion saying you support the project. You could do a positive motion.
Which would be good.
I think you like that. Chris, would you like it?
Of course. I mean, we did a lot of work on this before we decided to even create this corridor improvement authority. The township, we've spent a lot of money too to get to this point. We feel like it's going to be good, not only for Orion Township, but for all of the entities. The reason Oakland County is excited about it is it's going to increase their revenue by $4 million. I mean, they've seen these work, they do work, and they are different from DDAs. And that's why, you know, I know there's some dissent even amongst some of the board members here about how some DDAs work, and this is different than that. So I am fully behind it, and I think I really believe that slide that shows that it's going to be an increase in revenue from today for NODA, even with the 50% capture. And I think that the numbers that we have are pretty conservative based on what we've seen so far. So I think we can say that the revenue will be even greater than that, which is, again, if you look at that, it's an additional, at some point, it's 5 times, you know, seven times the current revenue.
I guess we'll move on to 10C, discussion on voting quorum requirements. Who would like to talk about this? Lynn?
I'd be happy to talk about it. I think I passed out a sheet tonight, and it has a number of our voting members of NODA. It's a 2-page, both-sided vote. And it basically lists, there was The reason why it's coming up is we've been having some difficulty, and maybe some confusion on what makes a quorum for NODA, and also, so I wanted to just spell it out, look in the intergovernmental agreement, and just talk about it. So I've put our voting members of NODA is the 3 townships have 2 representatives. The villages all have 1 representative, so those are 9 representatives in total from the township. In addition, we have 3 additional voting members, 1 from TTI, 1 is from Area on Aging, and Eric Wilson currently is our voting member at large. That makes 12 voting members. We also have 2 non-voting members, Kathy Elvis from Newark and James Bernhardt is an at-large member. I've also included our intergovernmental agreement, kind of talks about the board members, and on the back page, I just highlighted where it says that at least a majority of the members of the NODA board shall be required for a quorum. That would be 7 members. So just wanted to bring that to you to see if you wanted to make an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement, if you wanted to have just 1 member from each of the 3 communities and a certain other number, or if you wanted to keep it the way it is. I know there's 1 member too, like Eric Wilson has not been in attendance for a while.
You could make him a non-voting.
And then move Kathy, who's usually here, into a voting, which would maybe help our attendance as well.
Can that be done by motion of the board?
It has to be IGA and
Change of the bylaw?
We do have bylaws that specify how many people have to be here for quorum. I don't know what I was looking for, but it specifies that we much in greater detail than the local agreement.
the IGA is the one, the intergovernmental agreement between the communities dictates membership. Doesn't it? That's what you're saying. That's what this is. It's not the bylaws. This is the IGA.
Does the IGA specify who has to be, what is the point?
Yeah.
I don't think we would like that. We could have all the non-voting members in Oxford wouldn't have to be here. So the Cory wouldn't have to be here. Or would we like that? I think we would, the bylaws, I think, is required. I think somebody from the 3 townships has to be, But that's just my thought on that. I think we should give it more thought than just that.
Would we like to just move forward with whatever it takes to change the voting membership? It's a board's part. I do have a problem getting a quorum.
In the handout, it says here that unless you're passing a contract, that you need a majority member vote of all the members. For other matters, a majority of the quorum is present. That's just voting. We have 8 people here today, we only need 7, right?
Right.
This is the biggest problem I've seen in a year, 2 years.
We've had several meetings in the last 6 months that we were literally waiting for people to show up.
And somebody decided to tear up all the roads around here.
Better, you're getting in the road business, whether you like it or not, if this corridor really goes through. That's a whole little, Hunjo, that's a kettle of fish.
Yes.
Personally, I would like to have it specify that, or at least Oxford Township would have had a member here from anything.
Well, I think
Well, I don't even think it's an issue of
we know
voting,
that.
it's in order to have the meeting. And we've had several,
I would like to have
I
it.
mean, have you asked if the meeting date is inconvenient for conflicts with other people's schedules and things like that?
Bill, do you have an issue with the time? Is there a different time that would be more convenient?
I don't have an issue being here. It's just last month I missed. I generally come to all the meetings.
So I haven't seen you since September, so I know I've missed quite a few. Actually, it was maybe even August, so it just, it is difficult. I think the time is difficult, but I understand, Mike, you work, so.
I was not here because, quite honestly, when I attended the meeting after the millage passed, the village, we weren't recognized. Addison Township was recognized, and since we had resigned prior to that from the NODA, I never got a letter of reinstatement or any information saying that we were back on. whether that's my error or the administrative thing, but I gave NODA a letter, as did, I think, Bruce Pearson for Addison, when the millage didn't pass, and NODA set the rule that we were no longer members. And I never got anything back saying we were a member. I don't know if the township did. So that's why I wasn't here.
I would just say that there's a couple things that could be easier, and for whatever reason, 4:30 is like a really hard time for me personally, but I do understand and appreciate that other people have, because it's like the in-between time. But we haven't seen Ken Van Poortvliet, the representative from the village of Lake Orion, in I don't know how long. So it'd be simple for us to send an email to him and their council saying, we're having a hard time getting a quorum, would they be willing to appoint a second person or replace Ken? And I mean, he just literally texted and called me about something else, and I said I'm at the NODA meeting, and he didn't even know that we had one today.
I talked to him earlier. He just has a difficult time at 4:30. It would have to be later for him
Right.
because of his work schedule.
Okay.
So he's just not able to make 4:30. He said he tries, but it's just usually just not possible. It's too early for him because of his schedules.
But then the second part of that is, I agree with just switching the at-large, or changing Kathy to a voting member and Eric to a non-voting member. He can still come and weigh in when he makes it, but that gives us one more person. Would we have to change the bylaws to do that, though?
Bylaws and then the governmental agreement.
Well, how does he get to be the at-large?
Oh, no, maybe.
Who appoints him?
Right, so if we appointed Kathy as the at-large, that's just an appointment.
I think so.
Kathy, how do you feel about that?
It's fine.
Guess our punch just started there.
It doesn't necessarily have to be at large. It could be just more, just 3 voting members that the board chooses. So we can have 2 at large that are non-voting. So it could be
So we
more.
could just make a motion to vote
To make Kathy
to make Kathy a voting member?
Yes.
Do we need a motion to ask the village of Lake Orion to appoint an alternate, or can we just ask them to do that so that there's representation by their council action? They would appoint someone at a future meeting as an alternate.
Sure, I can ask Kevin to do that.
So I make a motion to move Kathy Ellis into a additional voting member and remove Eric Wilson to a non-voting member.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I would just ask if the director would be willing to send that email to the village of Lake Orion just asking for them to appoint an alternate. That'd be awesome.
Okay.
And then something to Eric to let him know.
I don't want to throw a monkey wrench in this, but I'm going to throw it out there. I mean, our IGA says that the governmental members of the board shall be appointed by the respective legislative body in the event of a vacancy. The governmental body is responsible for filling it. It says very specifically, once the 9 governmental members have been appointed, they can appoint up to 3 additional voting members of the NODA board, serving 1 year each, which may be renewed. So, is that what we just did? We now have 4 non-voting members, or 4 at-large members?
No, we still have 3 voting members. There'll be TTI, Area on Aging, and WARC. Those will be 3 voting, and then 2 non-voting.
Okay.
I think we're okay. And based on the first part of that is, we would need the village of Lake Orion to take action and appoint an alternate, and then it would be up to them to make sure what it would be.
Well, before we move on to another topic, is it possible to have a quorum without Oxford County?
I would say yes.
Yes, it would be. Yes, it would be.
It is unless there's an issue that is, who read that?
Right here it says a majority of the members. It didn't say a representative from each jurisdiction. It says a majority is required for passing a contract.
then why in past meetings that we had to have a representative of each community here?
I think that's part of the clarification that we're looking for.
Right.
I remember everybody wanted
Right,
to
we
have
always just
somebody
assumed it.
from Oriental, and we can't do anything.
Is that in the bylaws? I know for the cable commission, it's spelled out.
I thought it was spelled out in the bylaws.
So there.
Doesn't sound like it is.
Yeah,
Well, but this is governmental, so this is different than what the bylaws state.
I know I have.
Well, what?
Maybe we can have Lynn check into
Yeah,
the
maybe we can
bylaws.
just report back on that next meeting.
Yeah.
What are do we always have, sometimes we cancel meetings, don't we, or during the summer?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we did in
July.
August, July and August.
Yep.
What's that got to do with this, Joe?
Well, this is the June meeting, so if you're gonna cancel in July or August,
No, we did it by motion.
but our schedule doesn't list for every 12 months, it would be every month, right?
We do, yes. If we wanted to cancel July, we probably should
Are you
do it
gonna
tonight.
make
Is
that
that what you're
motion? Is that what
saying?
you're trying to say?
Well, I'm asking, do you want to cancel July or August, because now would be the time to do that. 'Cause this is a June meeting, so you're not gonna,
You're confusing things, Joe.
okay. Do we get one to
What's
meet,
that?
do we want to meet next month?
We're done. We're done with this one. She's gonna report back at the next
Yeah,
meeting
right.
if we need to answer your question, to answer Buck's question. So Lynn, do you think we need to have a meeting in July, or would
We don't necessarily need in July, August. I mean, we have the Act 196, we're not in a huge rush. That's one thing that we can bring to the August meeting. I don't think it would, there's not a timing requirement, so I don't think it would hurt to wait until August.
I move that we cancel the July 21, 2016 Nora meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I have a question. Can we do that without having that on the agenda? Just all of a sudden, sure,
I think so.
we can do that?
Yeah. We've done it before.
Can you make a legal motion? Send-
So, it just doesn't seem right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to
Well,
amend the agenda.
I can make a motion to cause financial difficulty on someone and not have the public there to be able to,
You could. You got support?
it seems wrong. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other motions that might want to be made out there? Any other agenda items we might want to throw on this? Public comment. Receive and file monthly mileage reports.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Board member comments, starting down.
No comment.
What?
Well, I want to apologize, Bill, if I put you off with my interpretation of Robert's rules, so to speak, which we take rather casually. Perhaps next time we can have a motion to amend the agenda to include the item before we voted on it. That might be a more formal, proper way, and I'm totally open to that.
It's just that, you could take action on stuff and not give the public any chance to be there to at least comment on what you're doing. It just seems wrong. I have no other comment.
Okay, well, I would just say this board has done this since I've been on it. With it not being on the agenda, we've just said, do we need to meet? And we've done just the same thing. Our township board has done it too. I agree, you could make a motion that's a landmark, doing some major, but this to me is just a when's our next meeting? Well, I don't see it totally the same way you do, and I think we're within the Open Meetings Act and Robert's Rules.
I just asked a question.
Yep, no, I'm just giving you my input. Thank you for your lack of emotion, I guess. And thanks to, you guys don't know Dan Dewey, he's the coffee man, the world famous Dan.
I went to school.
I went to school with Mr. Dewey. I've run a lot more than he's ever run.
How many marathons have you run?
I'm not going to say out loud because he's just
Say it out
setting
loud.
himself up. He just set himself up.
How many marathons?
72.
He's only
Only done
one.
74. Sorry, Dave.
Thank you. No, that's all right. That's the perfect
And,
way to end it.
and thank you guys for being here, Gary and Mike. We hope to put more money in those offers through the new investment. And then I would just say that I think the RTA is a bad deal, and I appreciate your email with making sure before we do anything we understand all the ramifications, but I think it's a bad deal for Northern Oakland County.
Amen.
That's all.
I'd like to wish Oregon good luck on their endeavor with their CIA, since I wasn't allowed to make a motion.
You should have anyway.
Oh yeah, we moved on.
You got what you wanted.
Now let's start looking at Addison, see what we can do there.
Now comments.
I would just also like to say that I'm glad that we postponed deciding on opposition to the RTA. We do want to look at the big picture, I believe, and we do want to be a part of whatever the RTA is going to do. They don't want to not have NODA in existence or be against NODA. It's just, from my understanding, they want it to be a partnership and work with all the providers.
I agree that we shouldn't have brought it up at this board meeting, but I don't mind bringing it up at the township board meeting.
Did you already pass your resolution, or that's a draft that we got?
That was a draft, and it'll be on the next township board agenda.
We passed on.
You did? Did you?
It was plagiarized from Addison's.
Okay.
It is on Monday?
It is on Monday.
Though Pauline disagreed with my figures, I was computing that it was going to cost our average resident about $138.
I just rounded to 100.
Well-
Is yours more than that?
Well, Pauline wants to take the parcel count, and I said, well, no, we need to take the homes.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Been moved?
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.